Chapter 34. The End of the Beginning. PT2. Potter Manor, 7 p.m. Lily Potter apparated into the foyer of Potter Manor just before dinner, and after summoning a house elf to take away her trunks and other possessions, she made her way to the kitchen area. While Potter Manor had a full-sized dining room, it was far too big for just 3 people, and so the family usually ate their meals in the breakfast nook at a table just big enough for 3. Actually, it was big enough for 4, but Lily had spent 10 years training herself to ignore that empty spot where the 4th chair should have gone. Dinner was already on the table: cottage pie, roasted potatoes, and treacle tart for dessert, all of Jim's favorites. The 3 Potters made amiable chit-chat as they ate, but Jim thought the tension in the room was suffocating. Questions about how his first year went, about the Quidditch team's prospects for next year, about what trips the family should take when James's vacation days arrived. Nothing about Harry, nothing about Voldemort, nothing about that smell on James's breath that Jim suspected was Scotch. But things didn't get really bad until James mentioned Uncle Pete. "By the way, Lils, I saw Peter today. He sends his congratulations for finishing your first year as a professor." Lily paused, with a spoon almost to her mouth, as she looked up into James's eyes.
"That's nice,"
she finally said, in a tone suggesting that it wasn't nice at all. "Where did you bump into him?"
"Oh, you know,"
said James lamely, as if he suddenly regretted even mentioning Peter's name.
"I had to drop by his office today to go over some legal matters. Nothing major,"
said Lily before taking another sip of wine. Jim looked back and forth between his mother and father, somewhat nervously. There had been tension between the two ever since they learned Harry was a wizard, but it seemed to have gotten exponentially worse since Christmas. The 3 ate in silence for a while before Lily spoke to him.
"So, Jim, what plans do you have for summer? You know, as soon as you've got your homework done,"
she said with a smile. "Come on, Lils," laughed James. "Let the boy relax a little before you start in about his homework." Lily smiled at that, but there was a flash of something in her eyes.
"No, that's okay,"
said Jim hurriedly.
"I do plan to get my homework done early. In fact, I was wondering if it might be possible to, get some tutoring this summer. I didn't do as well in some classes as I wanted, and I want to do better next year."
James put his wine glass down and crooked an eyebrow at his youngest son.
"Who are you, and what have you done with Jim Potter?"
he said jokingly.
"I'm serious,"
Jim said. James winced slightly at that remark for some reason, but the boy continued.
"I asked Professor McGonagall, and she said that there's a form either of you can fill out and file with the ministry that will allow you to oversee me practicing with a wand for up to 20 hours a month, or someone else who is qualified and passes a background check if neither of you have the time for it. Anyway, whoever the teacher is casts a notification spell when my lessons start and when they end, and as long as the teacher stays in the room with me, it won't count as underage magic."
Lily's eyes narrowed.
"Why have I never heard of this?"
Well, honestly, most wizarding parents can't pass the background check because they don't have enough OWLs to be acceptable teachers. Also, it's kind of expensive. 500 galleons a month for the license, and then 25 galleons per hour of one training time, plus the costs for the instructor if you want to hire someone else to teach me.
James nearly choked on his wine.
"What? That's insane. You could buy firebolts for your whole team for that."
"Dad, we're rich, we can afford it. And frankly, I think spending money to further my education is more important than Quidditch."
While James was processing that seemingly impossible concept, Lily stepped in. "What would you want to study?"
"Charms, potions."
He hesitated.
"Defense, I need to do better at all those, but mainly defense."
Both of his parents tried to say something, but he continued speaking over them.
"And not just magical defense, Mom. I want to start back with Taekwondo again, and I want to actually get good at it. If that means doubling up my lessons with Master Hanaro, that's okay with me."
"Jim,"
said his father quietly.
"is this about what happened with Quirrell?"
The boy just looked at his father. He felt a brief impulse to laugh hysterically, but fought it down.
"Yes, Dad, of course, it's about what happened with Quirrell. I spent 30 minutes tied up on the floor at the man's feet waiting to see if he was going to kill me first or make me watch one of my classmates die instead. And the only reason we didn't all die is because 3 Slytherins came to save us.
The boy looked down at the table and tried to calm himself.
The boy who lived can't be useless.
You weren't useless, Jim.
Said James.
Your power protected you, just like before. It always will.
You don't know that.
Jim snapped in frustration.
None of us know how this power works, or how often I can use it, or even what it is, just that it protects me from Voldemort.
Both his parents flinched.
But it apparently puts me into a coma afterwards, and it didn't do a thing to protect me from Quirrell's Incarcerus or his Confundus, so I don't see why it would protect me from a killing curse from anyone who's not Voldemort. And another thing,
He said quickly before his parents could interrupt.
Since I already mentioned that I'm vulnerable to the Confundus curse, I want to learn Occlumency.
At that, both his parents exploded.
No.
Exclaimed James, absolutely not.
Jim, you are too young to start learning Occlumency. It can have very serious consequences to your mental health.
Worse consequences than being mind-controlled by a dark wizard. Harry's been studying it for months, and it hasn't done anything to him. Or is Occlumency some Slytherin thing that I should hate on principle, but you just haven't mentioned it yet?
Jim, you will not use that tone with your mother and me. Do you understand me?
Jim sat back in his chair and sighed.
Yes, sir.
He said dejectedly, "So, what can I learn this summer?" James hesitated and looked over at Lily.
Let your mother and I talk about that. We'll let you know tomorrow, okay?
I shouldn't even go to Hogwarts if I can't defend myself and my friends.
Jim thought to himself miserably.
I'd rather be homeschooled than be a danger to everyone around me.
He rubbed his eyes and pushed his half-full plate away.
May I be excused? I'm not very hungry tonight.
His parents both nodded, and the boy got up and left the room. They waited in silence until the sound of his footsteps receded. Then James turned to his wife. "Well, what do you think? Personally, I'd rather he relax and decompress after everything that happened this year, but do you think he needs combat training?" Lily laughed almost bitterly.
Really, James? You're asking me that now? You know perfectly well that I've wanted him to have combat training since he was 6, but you've always fought me on it. Honestly, my only objection to Jim learning Occlumency is that he's been so immature and short-tempered. If he buckles down in his studies and makes progress with his martial arts training and shows some real self-discipline, then yes, I think he should start learning that too.
He's 11.
I don't care how old he is, James. I want Jim to have every advantage he can possibly get. I want him to live. Is that too hard for you to understand?
SHHH, keep it down.
Hissed James. He stepped past her into the next room, but it was empty. He listened for a second but heard nothing. Then he walked back to Lily and took her arms in his hands. "Lily Flower, please, I know you're upset, but of course I want Jim to live, and I know he is going to live. The prophecy." She jerked her hands free of his and stepped away from him in annoyance.
James, nothing in that damned prophecy says that Jim is going to survive. It says he has the power to vanquish you-know-who but doesn't say he will. It says he has a power the Dark Lord knows not, but doesn't hint as to what it is. It says neither can live while the other survives, and we both know what that means. Jim and you-know-who must have a final confrontation in which one of them kills the other, but there is no guarantee that Jim will be the victor. I don't want Jim going into that confrontation, putting all his hopes into some vague hidden power.
Do you seriously think that Jim could ever beat the Dark Lord with any amount of training, Lily?
Said James angrily.
We either figure out what Jim's special power is, or we accept that Voldemort's going to win. And I can't do that. I can't accept losing my son.
His voice broke, and he turned away to pace the small room, while Lily looked at him with her arms folded.
You have 2 sons, remember?
She said coolly. James whirled back towards her, his eyes flashing angrily.
You think I don't know that? It was your idea to send him to Petunia, not mine. I wanted to raise Harry and Jim together. I didn't care if he was a squib or not.
That's rubbish, James. You just completely refused to consider that he even might be a squib. And what would you have done if he actually had been a squib? Or worse, as Albus feared, if he'd been a squib because Jim drained his magic to defeat you-know-who? How could any of us have lived with that knowledge, especially since, if it happened again, Jim might drain Harry of his very life? We couldn't have raised Harry in that environment. We'd have broken him, just like Algie Longbottom nearly broke Neville.
Never, whether Harry was a squib or not. I would never have given up on him the way you did if you and Dumbledore hadn't talked